I gotta get back to opening this stuff up with the theme song. So,
Oh yeah.
well, people they can all hear us now. We're live, but let me switch to the desktop. Our drawing. All right. So, yeah, there's. I gotta. It's a thing. It's a thing. I gotta get on this. I'll work it out. All right, Brandon. Why are we streaming?
We are streaming because I am trying to progress as an artist and a sketch cover artist, and I'm having trouble with my shade layers, my Copics, and just finding good color values on what to use to make these really pop and stand out in a sea of thousands of sketch covers.
Whatever you just said. So this right here is not your final art. This is something that let me just kind of show you folks what he's kind of trying to figure out from a design standpoint, right? From some shading. This is if I'm putting my phone up to the camera so they can kind of see. Um, so we're gonna practice a little bit here. I'm just gonna make some random shapes. We can practice a few different ways here. So I'm just gonna go right here and quickly with this color pencil, outline it similar to what you kind of got going on. And we'll do the bandage wraps like they do in the comics. They don't like drawing fucking pads anymore. So, you know. So what green are you using for the base?
Uh, Shit. I am using the
Complique?
G02.
G02.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we'll start there. And you did a solid fill?
Well, first I did the W3 for the shade, and then I did a solid fill over that and everything with the GO2.
Alright, I sort of feel like you need to be using the cool grays on turtle skin tones. But let's see. Let's try the W3.
I'm gonna go grab my marker sheet paper. I just left it on the table, art table.
Okay. Problem solving. Problem solving. Let's see how far we get with this.
Okay.
Scheiße. So I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit. Thing you gotta remember about Copic's, people, is it's not unlike watercolor. It does need to dry for a few minutes. Yeah, that's why you can, the minute you lay a marker down, you can start to apply another color and it'll bleed out because it's a liquid. So, I mean, is it wet like acrylic paint where it picks up? No, but it does still sit there for a little bit. So you did the W3 and then you did a solid fill?
Yeah, I did a solid fill of the G02 over everything, the whole thing.
I think you should probably use the chisel tips when you're doing solid fills.
All right.
And try to go over the surfaces with it in the shape of the surface.
Uh-huh.
So the strokes will help give it more weight so it's not just completely flat. Thing to remember too, especially if you're using the B marker papers, it's going to pick up the strokes. But they all build up. Okay, and then what did you do?
Then I did the G21 over the shaded areas.
G21, which I don't have
Or
on
hold
here.
on, no,
What's
hold on,
your
sorry,
fucking color?
not G21. Sorry, misread. G17. Sorry.
I say G21's a light color.
No, I know. I just misread the number when I looked down. Can you turn on the light, Jessica?
So if I
Mm-hmm.
go over the exact same thing here.
Yeah. I used the G17 over the shaded area.
Alright, so it's very clinical, right? Um, hmm. Let's see what I would do. What would I do? Um, yeah, that W3 isn't giving you enough contrast. Basically, you just wasted the ink. Because when you put the G21, it's so dark. The G17, when it's so dark over that, you're not getting any benefit from that. Let's try a C5. Where is my C5? Oh, we're going to do that thing where I can't find the marker, right? Because it's sitting right here on the desk. Oh, there's a C3. Where's the C5? Oh, it's right underneath me. So, and then I'm going to make sure my G02 is... I'm not opening up a new bottle. Where's the other open one? Or am I... Do I not have an open one? That must be it.
So basically, when I was using the W3, let's say on that leg, that's just basically doing nothing because
Yeah,
the
because its value seems to be similar to G02, so you're just wasting marker
gotcha.
at that point. You could have just put down G02 and then added the G17 on top, and there'd be
17, yeah.
no difference. So, what I want you to do when you start to lay this color down is think about this haloing technique,
Hmm.
where you leave a little bit of the white open towards where the highlight would be. You know, don't
Gotcha.
try that here, but you gotta practice this. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and if you wait 30 seconds, you'll see what I'm doing. Hmm. Let me try just adding. Probably too dark.
And that's the G17 you're putting on right now?
Yeah. Now I'm doing it without anything underneath on this one. You can see there's no difference. See, it's so dark that you
Hmm.
don't need any. You can just do the shade with the G17. What you really need is an intermediary color. So you use the G17 as the shade color, but you need something in between. We'll figure out what that is here in a second. No, that ain't it. Do 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 do. YG13. Yeah, you want to use YG13. to blend between the two. And as soon as the stream catches up, you'll see what I'm talking about.
It just did right now. Kind of like a limeish green.
Yeah.
And are you going over everything with it or just the
Yeah,
white
but I'm
area?
not just doing a blanket this. Like I'm taking the tip and I'm building the shapes.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? I'm like pushing the shapes around. But yeah, I'm going over. I'm blending between. I'm not going into the darkest parts because that will brighten that up.
Right.
I'm staying around the lighter parts. You know, and some spots I don't. So you'll still keep some of that 0 2 in there. You know, it's transparent. So so you get a fluctuation of color. You have to make sure like when you're laying it down, you're not doing a ton of pressure. You're not like it's not a Sharpie, you know?
Right.
It's very light using the very tip, you know. You're trying to continue to build up some of the shapes. And then what you'll see is as this dries and the markers lay into one another, those dark edges you put in, those bright outlines, they get darker and darker. And they end up becoming colorful dark lines, not a big flat black line.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you do is at you know, you can start to take the very edges, and what you do is you push into the darks into the very darkest part. So you can, when you're done, you can, wherever the back of the arms are, you start to push some of the color a little bit more on top, so it's darker. I use the word push because to me it feels like I'm pushing it back. I don't know how else to describe it. That's where you can take a C5 and and then nooks and crannies start to just edge it out and get that dark edge, you know? If it
Uh-huh.
isn't a C5, it might be closer to a C7. I tend to use a C7 or C9 around that point, but just so you can, you know, and then when it's super dark, that's when you add that highlight on top, you know, in little spots. You put the little pin lights, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then so it's what's called your core shadow. It's the darkest edge before it gets bright again. In rendering, they call it core shadow. But the bright part is still bright, but you would have that nice colored lime edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that color pencil undercolor that you did will still be darker. You catch my drift?
Right. It gets darker with the markers going over it.
So when you look at your initial tracing, where you're going over your lines with color pencil, you're like, oh, this looks like a Nintendo logo or
Right.
something. I'm like, yeah, go look at the making of anime. And you see all the lines are colored weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why are they all yellow and green and red? I'm like, well, you know, there's a reason for that. I can go right here with the brush tip and same thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever tip doesn't matter. Sometimes I'm in the mood. More I'm in a chisel mood. Sometimes I'm not. So what you're trying to do is build up shape while maintaining, you know, color. Fun color, poppy color, the kind that people go, "Oh my God, I gotta give you money now." You know, can I
Right.
have one today? You know, not, you know, wow, you know, you actually tried. Good for you. You know, I don't care. Like I'm not. I always feel like some people are just aching for like that mom love. You know, I'm
Right.
so proud of you. You tried. Good job. So what else?
Um, For the shoulder pads or the pads, you told me for the darker parts to use a RV69,
Let me make a
but you didn't say
let me make a
what
shoulder
what you would
pad.
recommend for the lighter.
RV69.
Yeah. I also bought for the bandanas for him. I bought the blues you told me to always use, which are BO5, and I think you told me B29. I wrote it. I have it all written
It's
down. And
pretty dark. So let's see what I was. This is why you can't wait a month, Brandon. You know what I mean? I don't know what I told you. So I think with the pads, what you want to do with turtles, classic turtles, is you sort of start with these shadow areas
uh-huh.
and you leave these white area open. Then from there, let me try caramel. No, too bright. EO9. EO9 for
Okay.
the secondary color, and then the third color will be this caramel. And we're going to halo in. If you really want to see a good example of this, just look at the first 8 issues of Spawn, the way Steve Olive colored. And you could sort of see the way the haloing was done because he was manually coloring the pages and then they digitally separated off his colors. So he created these steps. You can see a lot of these. And then we'll put the YR14, which is the caramel color, and for that little highlight,
I got that one.
and fill in those little edges. And then to push it dark, once it's all dry, then you could take a C7 really quick and, with the chisel tip, just add in some of those pad shadows on
Uh-huh.
top. That should get you there.
Yeah. And then for the his chest, you told me to use Buttercup Yellow Y21.
Y21. Alright, let's grab that. No, Chris, I'm not interested. Alright. Y21. I gotta dig out my refills. Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
You don't use the chisel tips much, they dry out, so. But today I'm in a chisel tip mood. So. Alright. Try that. And you can try the caramel. Might be a little much. Yeah, it's a little much. Let me try. I think that'll do better. The darker shade Y26.
Y26.
It's called mustard.
I'll have to go to the store after this to get that one because I don't have that one.
And if you did that, the shell, you should be using a brown, not a yellow for those lines. But since you already did, you probably could use the same exact color you're using for the bandages.
Uh-huh.
So you can go back over those if you want.
Yeah, that's fine. I will.
I almost think the where is it? YG91 would work to push it in if you wanted to. YG91 putty,
Uh-huh.
magical putty would be a good push color.
For like the
Yeah, the
crevices.
crevices, yeah, to kind of get it to seep in there. What else?
You said BO5 for his bandana.
BO5. Right. So with this, I'm actually going to use the brush tip to be a little bit more specific. With this bandana, it's such a tight spot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple things you might want to. Like I would start by outlining the eyes and the shadow areas really quick, right?
Right.
And then leave a lot of this white open. And then inside that white, get a FBG2 and halo inside the white, leaving some white still in there. And then go back with the FGO5 and push some of those areas in because it will build up. The BO5 will build up. There'll be a
Gotcha.
buildup of color, so you'll get darkers. And you can continue to kind of blend between the two and push. And then when it's all done, what's that darkest color?
I have a B29.
Yeah. I think we're using what you already had. It's too dark.
No, I bought.
Damn it. Let me try.
I should have pretty much
I
almost
think
every
I think
core
with the
color used.
B29, the trick with that
Mm-hmm.
is to use it sparingly and to push the color out with the BO5. You can push it out because it's like the black. When you use B100 black, it's like a tar. It's pretty heavy. So if you use the brush tip, you can push it out. So if you just put down like a few little dabs of the B29, you get right, and
Uh-huh.
then you take your BO5, you'll see on the monitor, but you can push it out. You can blend with it because it sits on top of the paper for a little bit. I mean, we want to do that somewhat incrementally just to build up and push those darks in, you know. And then when it
Uh-huh.
gets done, you go back over with your FBG2, just in those things. What you want to do is make sure you're not leaving giant white hot spots, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So once it dries, you can kind of like use your O5 or your whatever. You just want to be able to make sure you got those key spots and you're not leaving a ton of white everywhere. Takes practice, man. Yeah. But enough for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, there's the side shells, and his back shell, And the only thing that I wasn't too sure about also was on his. You decided to change the sword handles to a gold and a red. So the red wrapping with the gold bottom and the gold top.
Yeah, but we went over that. What colors did I tell you to use?
You just did it digitally. You didn't tell me marker wise. We did that a little later when we did the digital.
Okay.
Yeah, because you didn't like the blue I used.
No. Yeah, your intermediary color can be E25 on the shell,
Mm-hmm.
with the highlight being more of the putty color. And it's really very, very light highlight with the putty. And then the push color, the dark color will be E09. And you want to add dabs and then blend with the
What's the push color?
E09 or
EO9.
C09. Yeah. So you want to push with the E25. That'll take some practice. I wouldn't worry about getting that perfect. There's only little bits.
Yeah, it's just on the
So
sides.
in terms of the handle,
Yeah, you wanted me to use red straps and gold for the top and the bottom.
yeah, the gold should be Y35. And then the dark should be YR04 chrome orange. And you just want to use that to give the shade and going over the lines, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you leave some white for highlights on that. And then the red should be R05? Give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. R05 for the mid and R37 for the dark. And you can always go over the white spot with an R43 or whatever RB11, whatever you have, the pink.
Mm-hmm.
I flip between the two. So
I like the pink, so I'd probably do that one.
so then when that's all done, then we got to look at it, maybe add
Mm-hmm.
your background, and then figure out where to push and pull. You see what I mean?
Right.
At a con, you don't even need some crazy background, man.
No.
You know, you can once you get used to it. You know, like Shelby does and stuff, dude. So
Well, he does a lot of his. I mean, I've never seen him sketch at cons, but I know he does his at home and just brings a stack of them to the con. Kind of like how, like this, where you have me bust them out and then take them to the show.
how do you do
But
pre-made backgrounds at home and bring them to the show? You mean he does all the
he
art
does he,
already
he does
done?
all yeah he does all his sketch
Well,
covers
that's
at
what I've
home.
been trying to have you do to be able to take a stack with you and sell them there.
Right.
You know. So, but you can't do all that the month before con, right, Brandon?
Nope. But that's 2015 Brandon. You're talking to 2016 Brandon.
It's fascinating. Yeah, I hope so.
I'm like a
You know,
Pokemon.
right
They
now,
evolved.
2015 Brandon is the sole soul of stress in my life. And think about how my life is right now. So I don't. It just feels like for me, I don't want to be in a position where I feel like I'm repeating mistakes I made 15 years ago with someone else. And I don't think you're intentionally doing anything. But it is funny. All the shit we're going through is shit I told Joe was really important 15 years ago, and he told me how I was overreacting and getting bent out of shape. And then fast forward to now, where he's like, "Dude, I don't understand how you ever put up with me." I'm like, "Well, you see how it's important now, right?" He didn't get it. Organization, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even think he needed no Photoshop, man. Quote unquote, I don't need to know Photoshop 10 years ago. I said, no, you don't need to. You just, you also don't need to become an artist. So there's that too, right? Thing to remember, Brandon, is once you're all done, these things are going to have dark lines, and then you got the little white highlights and everything else.
Right.
So I say the backgrounds you've been doing before is how you should do on these,
Right.
because they'll look like speed lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So have that animated. Like what I'm trying to do is give the feel of the opening for like the TMNT cartoon credits or
Mm.
Thundercat credits. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
look at those techniques they used in older anime.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, all those opening credits were animated in Japan, not America. Hold on. Sorry. They were animated in Japan, so that's why those openings always look really great. And then the interiors, I mean, they were animated, but not by the A teams, like Taiwan, South Korea. So anyhow, um, yeah, don't worry about a lot of that gray shade stuff. I think the gray shade technique is something that we'll work on once you understand all this color,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's good for cons. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we'll go to a con, you can lay this stuff out. It's really fast. You don't want to be doing like 18 color blends at cons.
Yeah.
And then what happens too is once this stuff dries, if you're out there, you're like, oh, I don't like all those edges. I like it to blend. You could take Prismacolors and blend between the two. And if you look, once it catches up, you'll see. I don't know if you can see it. Let me see.
No, I'm waiting.
I'll give
It'll
it a second.
it'll get there. All right. Yep. Now I see it. Getting your Drew Struzan on.
But it'll blend those edges.
Softly blends them in.
Yeah, perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And that's when they go, what is that? Is that color? What is that? And it's like, no. But you're not trying to do it all with marker, right?
Right.
So you're getting. And you'll find using color pencil on the B marker paper to be a treat. And what I like about it is that it allows you to add those fluctuations with the line.
Mm-hmm.
You can like, Struzan, right, comes in there and does those little
Yeah.
scribbles and stuff, and it just throws off. Yeah, it builds up and it throws off. You know, what's the word I'm thinking? It throws off genericness, like bland something or other. But if those core rendering isn't there, there's no point. You know,
But yeah.
0 point. So, but yeah, that's where the color pencils come in, man. And I'm shifting from Prisma to polychromos. So I got a couple checks coming in this week. I'm going to use one of them to get a bunch of polychromos. They're just sturdier. They don't, you know, when you ever try to sharpen a Prisma, it just fucking breaks every 3 seconds. Just falls right out, you know? Uh, cheap piece of shit. They weren't always this way. I don't know what happened. Like I said, man, with you, dude, we don't need giant banners with your fucking art. What we need is a good, steady commission display. We should be going into a con. You should have like 20 of these already set up. You know?
Uh-huh.
Period. And then you're selling those. You're helping me move my shit. You know what I mean? While I'm doing this other stuff, and then you take extra ones, and then you know get them done after the con at night, right?
Yep.
Line them up, transfer them, boom, 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 boom. I can even do like the rough sketch, and then you just transfer it over, and there you go. And that, folks, is called fucking teamwork.
Yep. Yep.
So these are just dev, folks. This is what it's like to like, you know, before you plan, like, oh, I'm gonna go and fucking color this thing. I don't always know what I should be doing, you know? Like, I'm not gonna waste my fucking drawing
Yeah.
figuring it out on the drawing. So, any other questions about this, Brandon?
I think we've got it covered.
Perfect. So that's that, folks. I got stuff to do. I gotta go develop some stuff I can't actually stream. So I'm gonna kill the stream, and Brandy, you can still chat if you want. I'll be back on, I don't know, later tonight or tomorrow, depending on how it works out. See you then. Bye.